Welcome back. Today we are going to be flying out the improved MiG-29 for Germany. And no, I'm not saying improved for Germany, because the German one is better. It is technically 200 kilograms lighter, but in the grand scheme of things that changes absolutely nothing. In the Sky Guardian update, the MiG-29 got a better flight model. At lower speeds now it actually maneuvers, it actually pulls some AOA, and it actually goes when your mouse is pointing. Additionally, the flaps also work now. They used to kill your performance. If you drop the flaps at low speed, you would basically fly straight. Now, it will actually aid you in your turn. Of course, for a very minute amount of time, because you just dump away energy, and the slower you go, the worse your turn becomes. It's of course always a little bit of a trade-off. But if you want to use the flaps, like you should use flaps, then you can actually do that now. The MiG-29 is now probably the single best top tier plane in the game. The F-16 got buffed a little bit as well, but the change there isn't too massive. It pulls a little bit more at higher speeds, and it's definitely very welcome. But this thing just feels a lot more like a plane, and it's a lot more applicable to almost every scenario. The F-16 is amazing, it is very good, but it's more of a niche plane. The MiG-29 with the old flight model, the one that it had last patch, was very good. The MiG-29 with the 27 ERs are amazing. The R60s, Ms, not the best, but they're pretty good, they're pretty okay. Every flare is gonna kill your IR missile anyway. And the R60Ms are pretty decent when it comes to closer range stuff. The real downside of it is you can't really use them at longer ranges. The R60 range is kind of limited, and especially with the new maps, BVR became a lot more important. So the R60Ms are definitely more lacking than they were, and the 9Ls are definitely better than they were in that regard, but the 9Ls also aren't as flare resistant anymore. They're still infinitely more flare resistant than whatever the hell this thing is, but you know, it's a bit of a trade-off. Do you rather get a more workable plane, or do you rather get a vehicle that's extremely good at a very specific thing? Here we get on the 6 of a MiG-23 ML, and I'm trying to use the radar gun sight, and every time I squeeze the trigger it does absolutely nothing. So I'm gonna be, well, switching that stuff off, because I feel like my own radar gun sight is a lot more accurate than whatever they give me. Of course, if they aren't maneuvering, if they're flying straight like I showcased in the Yak 141 video, then yes, you will be able to get some 1.2 kilometer snipes and stuff if they are flying perfectly straight. The second they start maneuvering, the turning, the kind of flopping all over the place, then the gun sight becomes a little bit of a nuisance, but I try to use it here and there to see if I need to get used to it. And if that's not the case, then I would like to just show you guys how painful it is to use in that kind of mode. If you get very close to people, if you are in a dogfight, I advise you to just not use it. But of course, your mileage may vary. Go head on with an EJ, missile him out of the air. 27 ERs are absolutely criminal in the head-on, mainly due to the fact that they go so damn quick. They are pretty notchable, they are not very good at going for cold aspect, which means that they are being shot from behind. But in the head-on, you want to make sure that you are either low to the ground or you are preemptively notching, because that missile will be there before you know it. The guy on R6 has been hit by a 30mm. The 30mm have been absolutely ruined. Luckily he eats an R24, and now we can just sit on this Mirage. And it's a Mirage F1C. And yes, the F1C also got an improved flight model, but I'm still in the MiG-29, so it doesn't really matter how much they buff that thing until they turn it into basically an arcade flight model. He is gonna accomplish exactly nothing as long as we get the jump on him. And even if he gets the jump on us, I mean, let's be honest, the F1C is gonna do a whole lot of nothing to us. So now, last guy is a MiG-23 MLD, and he's gonna be taking off, so I'm just waiting for him. I don't want to have to burn too much, because I don't want to burn too much fuel, and if he starts running away, then I'm gonna need a lot of it to actually start catching him. I will catch him, but it will take a lot of fuel. We go low to the ground, we dodge his radar missile, and we just get ourselves into a little bit of a dogfight. This is gonna be inherently extremely unfair. The MLD is already not gonna have much of a chance if we play our cards right, and on top of that he is full fuel and full missile, and we just instantly get on at 6. We don't have too many rounds left. I'm trying to get some pot shots in. I am not actually getting any hits, but at this point, 23 rounds, he's very slow, and I just need to ride his ass until I get a good solution. I'm just waiting. There we go. We click, we set him on fire, he instantly burns up. Thank you DJ Sploosh for allowing me to have a little bit of a dogfight. On to the next game. And yet again we have arrived at a very small map. It's Hokkaido again in the 16v16 kind of football meta. It is actually the most chaotic fun I've ever had. The MiG-29 excels at this kind of gameplay. And I'm of course extremely biased because the MiG-29 is, at the moment at least, one of my favorite top tiers to fly. Even if they power creep this thing, it just feels good. The gun has been kind of murdered, but it still works, it's still not horrible. And you can definitely make it work. F-14 coming in from the side, so we go side on. We want to make sure that we are either low or we notch the missile. We do both in this case. Look around, because I don't want to get swamped by someone else. We go vertical. If this F-14 sticks, he dies. If he doesn't, I get on the 6, just like he does, like I do right here. So I get on this guy 6. I'm going to be riding his ass. Shoot a few rounds, miss my rounds, and now I'm just firmly planted on the 6. But that F-16, well, he shoots an AIM-7F. And he does absolutely nothing about it. So then I go over for this guy. I shoot the missile. I notice friendly flares. Unfortunate. Second missile probably isn't gonna reach him. I'm just having good faith in it. In the case that it does reach. If he does like start turning into it. And we never actually find out because he dies to someone else. MiG-29 is now on R6. And I'm gonna be flying over to the other side of the map. Because this side of the map is very cluttered with my teammates. So I'd rather go somewhere else where they might not be as plentiful. And I might be able to get some other kills in. I go head on with the F-16 and I have terrain cover here. He needs to notch. I can just go low. I can just keep my radar on him. We hit. His missile does not. And he is dead in the water. There we go. Nice name, by the way. So we are looking around, F4S behind us, and we still have an R27 left. So we are going to be using it. We shoot it off, and with a little bit of luck, he's just going to fly directly into it. These missiles are absolutely nuts in terms of range, maneuverability, and just the acceleration of the rails. It's not so much the acceleration is better than the R24. It's just that the acceleration period is twice as long as the R24. So in the long run it will go a lot quicker. Especially if you shoot it outside of like 6 or so kilometers. MiG-29 going vertical against the F4EJ in our team. And this guy is just going very slow. He's not posing much of a threat. And I just turned the gun sight off in this case. Because I actually want to save my teammate. And I want to make sure I actually hit it. So we blow him out of the air. Nice air brake, by the way. And we go head on with the Harrier. Harrier is, well, not having a very good time. On to the next lobby. So we are again on the deck here, and I just don't like going at high altitude with these things. The MiG-29 has good acceleration, good top speed, good maneuverability. You don't really need to worry about other planes too much. If you have terrain, if you can use the terrain, you are pretty much golden. You don't really have to worry about notching. You don't really have to worry about missiles tracking you in any sense of the word. If you are low enough, there is a chance that you get splash damaged by the missile that you're trying to defeat with the ground. And it does happen sometimes, and it's extremely annoying. But in general, it doesn't happen that often, and you should be relatively safe. And even with the RNG fact, that feels like it's in place sometimes. You can do everything perfectly, and the missile will still track you, and it won't care. You're basically safe from that. FRS coming in with the missile shot. I go very low, loses track for a second. I just pull in. It's also not at optimal speed yet. It doesn't actually pull that hard, and it just flies directly under us. He then kind of forces our hand into a little bit of a fight. I drop the throttle. I'm just gonna be trying to reverse him. But look at that. My entire team comes in. So I just set this guy up. He gets absolutely pelted by a 23 MF. But now we are very slow. We're going 270 kilometers an hour. And someone that we weren't aware of appears directly on R6. He was among us all this time, but I just wasn't aware of him. So we start diving out, start picking up a little bit of speed. And then once he gets close, once he starts leading his gun, he gets blasted out of the air by an AIM-7E. A little bit later, we start going directly towards their airfield, and the MiG-23 right here goes head on with us. It's an ML, and the ML doesn't really pose as much of a threat as something like an MLD, because the ML, well, it doesn't have the slats, it doesn't turn as well, it does rate better, it does go... It has more of a chance in the long fight, but if you fly it right in the MiG-29, the long fight will never happen. So we get on his 6, we shoot the missile off, and if you don't cut that afterburner, as you can see, even the R60Ms will track through flares. It's not just flare resistant, it's also just having a hotter target for the missile to track. So we go underneath the MiG-29. And why do I want to show you this fight? Well, it's a bit of a 2v1, but I hope it does showcase the difference in fuel loads. This is what I mean with low fuel means a lot in top tier. I have 5 or 4 minutes of fuel at this point. This guy just took off. And we are gonna be effortlessly just riding his ass. He is gonna do 0 things about this. Try this again. And again, you see how jittery it is. You see that it's kind of like bouncing all over the place. And it just doesn't work. I'm under leading. And maybe I need to lead the thing a bit more. And again, I turn it off. We click. And he instantly explodes. Now, this right here, keep in mind, the review for the German one ends here. These are the older clips that showcase the MiG-29 flight model, and I haven't been getting around to using it. So I want to use this for 2 reasons. I want to show you, 1, the old flight model, so you can kind of compare it. And secondly, don't treat this as a review of the plane anymore. Just see it as some general top tier tips and just some general gameplay. So keep in mind, if you are only here for new content, if you only want to learn about the MiG-29 in the current flight model, in the current setting, then this is the end of the video for you. But I still wanted to use this to show you guys what this thing used to be able to and just give you some general pointers as well. F-16 coming in. We reverse him, other guy on R6. And I need to kill this guy right now. I need to make sure that this guy does not stay in front of me like this, because I have an F-14 riding my asshole as well. And I'm not a big fan of it. F-14 starts riding, F-16 goes vertical, I'm going relatively low speed. I'm now forced to commit to the F-14. F-16 gets cleaned up by an F-104J, which is a bit of a sad sight to behold. But thank you very much for the help. And I now just extend out of here. Do not contest right now. We don't have the energy, we don't have the position. We are in a very bad spot. We don't need to do something right now. We need to recover, regain our footing, and then go back into the fight and see if we can help out our team. That MiG-29 is gonna be top priority, because these planes will have an easy time against my teammates, even if my teammates are better players. So I want to focus those guys, make sure that my team survives. J-25 XS coming in, it's called an F right now. He doesn't have radar missiles for the head-on, so I can just stick this for as long as I want, shoot a few rounds, he commits to, boom goes dynamite, and he goes out of the match. He turns into a massive fireball. MiG-23 coming in, I'm not too worried about him, I am more focused on the F-14. Unfortunately, he sees the missile coming in, he flares and he turns in, and now the F-14 is actually alive and kicking. I need that guy out of the match. I can deal with a MiG-29, I can deal with an F-14, I cannot deal with both of those together with 2 MLDs. And here I need to make a decision. The F-14 is very, very slow, and I want to make sure that he dies right now. I have him by the balls, and the MLD, the other MLD, as well as the MiG-29 are not in a position to kill me right now. So I'm just going to keep on turning and get directly on the 6 of the F-14. He is just very, very slow, very easy shot. And now we need to get out of here, because we burned a lot of speed and they have a lot of speed on us. And I need to get out of here. Dodge the first missile, cut throttle, dodge the second missile. And now I have to turn, I have to cut throttle, and they will start catching me. And it's not ideal, so I need to go defensive. But I also want to make sure that I wait a little bit longer so I have more speed to work with. I don't want to start turning instantly. I want to make sure that I have plenty of speed to go into a slightly prolonged fight, so I'm not stuck going 500 in the gun sight of someone else. Turn into the missile, flare it, MiG-27 cleans both of them up. Perfect bait, thank you very much. And now we only have the MiG-29 left, and he is gonna do basically nothing, because it's 2v1 and we cleaned up their entire team in the span of like a minute. And we simply fly away for a minute, get our speed back in case he does win against the MiG-27, and well, he does a whole lot of nothing against us. F-14 in front of us, we shoot an R-24D. It's the IR version, he doesn't cut his afterburner. And just kidding, that's the R-24. And well, it's a beautiful missile indeed. We have an F-5E on our 6 as well as an EJ Kai. And at this point, I'm not too worried, actually. The EJ Kai as well as the F5 are 2 planes I can beat in certain manners. The F5E is of course pretty dangerous in the 1v1, but I have a lot more energy, I have a lot more speed. And the EJ Kai, I mean, it's an EJ Kai. The EJ Kai just gets absolutely manhandled by this thing. And if you play it right, the F5V is gonna accomplish exactly nothing as well. So we are just gonna go defensive for a little bit. And in reality, I was seeing this scenario and I just thought to myself, well, screw it, we're gonna have some fun and we're just gonna fight these guys at the same time. The F5V goes a little bit vertical and I see this as my cue to instantly send it, because now I can dodge the F4 and then instantly set up the F5. Thank you very much for playing directly in my hand. And now we just go into a little bit of a corkscrew. I have a lot more power, and if you try this nowadays, you're gonna have an even easier time doing this, because at this kind of speed, the thing just starts turning that much better. F5V takes a horrible line, he flies directly ahead of us. I shoot him directly in the center of his plane, he gets crit, and it looks like that's his tail control. He tried to use his flaps, he broke them off, and he's just flying directly into the ground. If this was the old flight model, or the new flight model, this guy would have already been dead. You just instantly turn around your own axle, and it's actually pretty damn hilarious. MiG-29 coming in, and we have 3 missiles left, none of the good ones, and we're being boxed in by another guy in the F-14. The F-14 does take priority, but the MLD is on R6, so we go head on, we spray a little bit, we miss our rounds, pretty difficult shot to hit, like that at least, and we just spiral up. If the F-14 follows this, he will be out of energy. If the MLD follows this, well, the exact same problem. The F-14 does get first and second turn in, but he just isn't fast. Look at this speed difference. I am gaining distance as he's trying to get lead on me in a turn. I'm probably going like 300 to 400 kilometers an hour quicker than him right now. I just keep this loop up, I go horizontal for a little bit. I'm trying to get behind the F-14, but the F-14 doesn't want any of it. He got his balls sucked dry completely, and he's like, no way Jose, I'm out of here. So I just send him an R60. Just to commemorate the thought, and the MLD turns directly ahead of me. The F-14 of course blows up, but I'm not gonna show you that. But yeah, he gets away. Yeah, you never saw that coming, did you? So we fly into the absolute black void that is this cloud, just to make sure that this guy commits suicide. Pretty good name, not gonna lie, but I'm gonna just ask you to hold this L as I shoot these R27s at you. I have 2 R27s, I have 2 rear aspect guys directly ahead of me. So what do? Well, we get ourselves a nice little double kill. Look at them fly in formation. Look at the missiles fly in formation. And there we go. 2 guys completely out of the match. We completely leave the match as well. We just fly into the clouds. And we just go defensive against the missiles here. Drop 1 flare, wasn't completely sold on the fact that it wasn't tracking anymore. And we just pop another bunch, and that's the issue here. I would like to see 2 flare mode, so I have a button for flares, a button for chaff, and I can actually set the amount for each individual one, because right now I'm just spamming chaff when I don't need to, and when I'm chaffing I'm spamming flares when I don't need to, and this is a massive waste. If I could carry 10 to 15 chaff and then 45 flares, I would. If I could drop them manually, so I do not waste half my countermeasures in almost every scenario. MiG-29 comes in, looks like an R24, so I just kind of turn out, don't need to use terrain, just flare a little bit, and he's now on R6. Prime up the missile, shoot it off, maybe it will connect, and we just go vertical after the MiG-23. The MiG-23 tries to stick on us, but he's not having a very good time. He leaves the idea instantly, and we go back for the Su-17. He turns into us, we don't really get a shot here. And then we shoot an R60 at the ML. And the ML, again, doesn't cut his afterburner. And he eats another L. So we go after him, make sure that we don't get missiled from behind. And then we almost get, well, missiled from behind by our teammate. And he pays the price for it. We tell him promptly to please leave the area in a very polite manner. And then we go fight the Su-17. And let's be honest here. Yes, this is a showcase of the MiG-29 flight model, but the Su-17 really doesn't have much of a chance here. We just kind of cut into him in a single loop. He doesn't have much energy either, and we just have a very easy time just dicking this guy completely out of the air. Missed the first rounds, second burst connects, and he gets sent to Narnia. Yeah, here's some ground pounding for you guys, for the people that love it. The MiG-29 is of course perfectly designed to do that kind of stuff. Oh, fantastic. Look at this absolute amazing ground pounder. And then for the last clip, we have some F-14s. Actually one, because killing the other one I haven't shown you, because it's just a head-on with a missile. This guy dives on us, we go underneath him, and because we go underneath him, if he tries to go vertical, we have a hell of an advantage. He also doesn't sweep his wings out, and we just one turn him. And that's why it's important to have your manual wing sweep bound and not trying to play energy in front of a guy with heat-seeking missiles. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.